Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I always thought I knew my husband, every little quirk, every glance, every sigh. After all, we'd been together for nearly a decade. We weren't perfect, but we loved each other. At least, I thought we did. And then came last night. One conversation. One look. One moment. That's all it took for everything I believed to start falling apart. It started off like any other day. We had dinner at home, laughed about something silly our dog did, and even watched a show we both liked. Nothing seemed off. But late at night, when we were both supposed to be winding down, something happened. Something I wasn't ready for. I can't tell you exactly what it was just yet, but it cracked something deep between us, something that had always felt so solid. My name is Maya, and this story is mine. It's about love, trust, and the quiet things we miss when we think everything's okay. It's about what happens when the person you trust the most suddenly feels like a stranger in your own home. When you start questioning if the life you built together was ever as real as you thought. My husband, Ryan, has always been calm. Steady. He doesn't express a lot, but I took comfort in that. I used to think that meant we were secure. But now I wonder, was he just holding things back? Was I too busy feeling happy to notice he wasn't? And why now, after all this time, did something change? I'm not here to paint anyone as a villain. That's not what this story is about. It's about relationships, real ones. The kind where love exists but so do doubts, insecurities, and the slow drift we don't always see coming. It's about those small cracks that turn into questions you can't ignore. And last night, it was the moment I had to ask myself if I really knew the man I married, or if I'd just been seeing what I wanted to see. There's a twist to this story, and no, it's not what you're thinking. This isn't about betrayal in the obvious sense. It's something deeper, something harder to face. But before I get to that, I want to ask you something. Have you ever felt completely sure of someone only to suddenly feel like you've missed something right in front of you? If you've ever had that moment where your heart sinks and your mind races, then maybe you'll understand where I'm coming from. Let's talk about it. Drop a comment below. Have you ever questioned a relationship you thought was solid? Do you think love can survive doubt? I'm genuinely curious to hear your thoughts. You can also vote in the poll to share if you believe a relationship can recover after the kind of moment I experienced last night. So stay with me. Because what happened next? I wasn't ready for it. And neither, I think, was he. After that strange silence between us last night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, wondering what exactly changed. Was it something I said? Something I didn't say? Ryan lay next to me, still, eyes closed, breathing steady like nothing had happened. But I felt it. That shift in the air. That feeling you get when something just isn't right, but you can't explain it yet. I kept replaying the night in my head. We'd finished dinner, spaghetti and garlic bread, one of his favorites. He even complimented it like always. We watched a movie, some comedy we picked half-heartedly, and I noticed he laughed, but it didn't feel real. It was like he was playing a part. Not distant exactly, but guarded. Like he had something on his mind but didn't want me to know. And then, right before bed, I caught him staring at his phone a little too long. He put it face down when I looked over. That's when my heart started doing that thing, racing for no reason but refusing to calm down. Ryan isn't the secretive type. At least, he never used to be. We'd always been open with each other, sometimes to a fault. So when he suddenly acted like his phone was off limits, it stood out. It wasn't just about the phone, though. It was his whole energy. Distant, distracted, and weirdly cold. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. We've had ups and downs before, just like every couple. But this felt different. Deeper. Like something had been building for a while and was finally starting to show through the cracks. This morning, I tried to act normal. Made coffee, played some music. I even joked about something small, hoping to draw him out. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's when I knew he was somewhere else, emotionally. And he wasn't letting me in. I asked him if everything was okay, and he paused. Not long. Just enough to make me notice. Then he said, "Yeah, just tired." And kissed my forehead like always. But it felt final. Not like comfort. More like closure. Now I can't stop wondering, what is he tired of? Is he tired of me? Of us? Or is there something going on that I don't know about? And here's the part that really messes with my head: he hasn't done anything wrong, not that I can prove. There's no big fight. No cheating. No shouting. Just this quiet space growing between us. And the silence feels louder than any argument we've ever had. I started thinking back to the past few months. Were there signs I missed? Has he been pulling away this whole time and I just didn't want to see it? Was I too focused on our routine? Too comfortable? I don't know what's coming next. But something's off. I feel it in my bones. And if you've ever had that gut feeling that something's about to break, you'll understand exactly what I mean. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had that moment when someone you love starts to feel like a stranger? What did you do? Because right now, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. The day after that strange night, I kept waiting for something to explain it all. Maybe a message from Ryan while he was at work. Maybe a forgotten reason for his distance, stress, deadlines, something. But nothing came. Just the usual heading into a meeting and might be late tonight texts. Short, dry, polite, and completely unlike the man I married. I tried not to overthink it, but my mind wouldn't stop. I started second-guessing everything. Had he been acting this way for weeks and I only noticed now? Or was something new happening? I looked at his social media, not like I expected to find much. He barely posts, but even that felt emptier than usual. No recent photos. No comments. Just a quiet feed that looked like someone slowly pulling away from the world. Then I noticed something strange. A message notification flashed across his tablet screen while I was tidying the living room. I didn't touch it, I respect his privacy, but I saw enough to know it wasn't from work. The preview just said, "Are you okay? You've been quiet." It was from someone named Ellie. I don't know an Ellie. He's never mentioned an Ellie. That single message set off 100 questions. Who is she? A friend? A coworker? Someone he's confiding in? And why does she think he's being quiet? Quiet with her too? Or just me? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but you can't unread something like that. And suddenly, every weird silence, every blank stare, every moment of him turning away made more sense, or at least, it felt like it did. Still, I told myself not to lose it. I needed more before I said anything. I needed to know what I was dealing with. But I couldn't stop thinking, why was he opening up to someone else when he used to talk to me about everything? That night, I tried again. We were on the couch, some show playing in the background that neither of us was watching. I leaned on him like we used to, and asked, gently, "Is something going on with you lately?" He didn't answer right away. Just stared at the screen. Then he said, "Why would you ask that?" Not defensive. Not angry. Just, flat. I wanted to scream. But I stayed calm. "You felt far away," I said. "Like your mind's somewhere else." He nodded slightly. "It's just work stuff. Deadlines. I'll be fine." But it didn't sound like work. And it didn't sound fine. So here I am, caught in this limbo between what I know, what I think I know, and what I'm afraid might be true. Do I confront him? Do I wait? Or am I just spinning stories in my head out of fear? If you were in my shoes, what would you do? Would you ask about the message from Ellie? Or wait until you're sure? Drop a comment, what do you think is really going on? Who is Ellie? And do you think Ryan's hiding something? Or am I just overthinking everything? Because something's coming. I can feel it. The next few days felt like walking a tightrope over something I couldn't see. Ryan kept moving through the motions, waking up, going to work, checking in with short texts, eating dinner with me like nothing had changed. But everything felt different. Even the way he said my name. Even the way he didn't look at me when he talked. And all the while, that one message from Ellie sat in the back of my mind, pulsing like a warning light I couldn't shut off. I started paying closer attention. I watched how long he stayed on his phone. I noticed he always tilted the screen away, even when we were just sitting beside each other. He started taking calls outside, in the car, even when it wasn't cold. He said it was work, but he never used to care who heard his calls. I was losing sleep again. Not from fear, exactly, but from that sick feeling that comes when your heart already knows something, and your brain is just catching up. I thought about confronting him. But what if I was wrong? What if I was just imagining things? What if Ellie was just a friend? Still, why hide her? One evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until he was in the shower, and I opened his laptop. I hated myself for doing it. That's not who I am. But at that point, I wasn't sure who we were anymore. The screen was locked, but for the first time in years, I tried to guess his password. And it didn't work. He had changed it. That hit harder than I expected. We never kept passwords from each other. We always said we had nothing to hide. But now, he was hiding something. And I couldn't unsee that. Later that night, I tried to keep things light. I asked him if he wanted to do something together over the weekend, just us, go out of town, maybe. I was testing him, just a little. Seeing if he'd commit. He didn't even look up from his phone. I've got a work thing Saturday, he said. Might run late. Something in me snapped. I wanted to scream what work thing? With Ellie. But I didn't. I just nodded. Okay, I said, like it didn't tear me up inside. But that was when I knew. I couldn't keep waiting. I had to know the truth. So the next morning, I made a decision. I took a personal day from work. I didn't tell Ryan. I waited until he left, then followed him. I know how that sounds. I know it's extreme. But this wasn't just about curiosity anymore. It was about answers. About finally pulling the truth into the light. I watched from my car as he pulled into a quiet street in a part of town we never go to. I saw him park. I saw him get out. I saw him walk up to a door. And then, the door opened. And someone stepped out. But it wasn't who I expected. You won't believe who it was. It wasn't Ellie. That's the first thing I registered when the door opened and I saw the woman standing there. She was older than me, mid-50s maybe. Slim, well-dressed, hair neatly tied back. She looked familiar. But not in a way I could place immediately. She smiled when she saw Ryan. Not a flirty smile. Not even warm. It was more like recognition. Like he was expected. I ducked lower in my seat, heart racing. Ryan walked up to her, gave her a short hug, one of those fast, polite hugs you give someone you know but aren't close to. Then they both disappeared inside, and the door closed behind them. I sat there frozen. Who was she? And what was Ryan doing there? This wasn't a friend's place. It didn't feel casual. It felt planned. Intentional. I thought about knocking. About confronting him on the spot. But something stopped me. That feeling again that this wasn't what it looked like. That there was more. I waited in the car for what felt like hours, watching the house, trying to make sense of what I saw. And then it hit me. I had seen that woman before. She was in one of Ryan's old photo albums, one I found in a box when we moved in together years ago. She was standing next to a man in a uniform, with Ryan barely out of high school in the corner of the frame. I remembered asking who she was. He said she was just a family friend. Nothing more. But now I wasn't so sure. When he came back out nearly an hour later, he looked tense. He glanced around like he didn't want anyone to see him. He didn't notice me parked down the block. He got in his car and drove off, and I didn't follow this time. I just sat there, head spinning, trying to figure out what I had just witnessed. Back home, I stared at the same photo from that old album. I dug it out from the bottom drawer where we kept all the things we never really looked at anymore. And suddenly the smile on that woman's face in the picture seemed different. Like she knew something I didn't. Like maybe she always had. So now the question isn't just about Ellie. It's not even about whether Ryan is hiding something. It's about what he's hiding, and why this woman is involved. What secret is buried deep enough that he's willing to risk everything to protect it? I want to believe he's not cheating. But this feels like betrayal of a different kind. One that goes beyond marriage. One that might explain why he's been so distant, so guarded, so unreachable lately. What would you do if you found out your partner was secretly visiting someone from their past, a woman they said didn't matter? Would you confront them right away? Or try to uncover the full truth first? Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Ryan is hiding a family secret? Or is this something else entirely? Because whatever it is, I'm about to find out. That night, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I waited until we'd both gotten into bed, the lights off, that heavy silence between us louder than anything. I turned to him, heart pounding, and said, "Who is she?" He didn't pretend not to know what I meant. He lay there for a second, then sat up slowly. No lies. No denial. Just a quiet, "I was going to tell you." I sat up too. "Then tell me now. Because I followed you. I saw you go to her house." He looked at me, then really looked at me for the first time in days. "She's not what you think," he said. "She's not someone I'm seeing." My chest was tight. "Then who is she, Ryan?" He rubbed his face like he was trying to figure out how to explain something complicated. "She's my mother." I froze. That made no sense. Ryan's mother died when he was a kid. He told me that himself. I remembered the story clearly. He had talked about her once with so much sadness. How she passed away when he was 12. How his dad raised him alone. "She's not dead," I whispered. "She didn't die," he said. "She left." And just like that, everything flipped. He went on to tell me the truth. She had a breakdown when he was young. Left the family without a word. His father told everyone she died because, back then, it was easier than explaining why she disappeared. He never corrected the story. He grew up believing she abandoned them. Years later, she reached out, quietly, carefully. She had been living under a different name, trying to rebuild her life after years of struggling with her mental health. She wasn't ready to come back. And Ryan wasn't ready to let her. Until recently. I didn't know what to say. I couldn't process it. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, almost in a whisper. "Because I didn't know how," he said. "Because I thought I had made peace with it. But when she reached out again a few months ago, I realized I hadn't. And I didn't want you to see me falling apart." I looked at him in the dark, and all the walls between us suddenly made sense. The late nights. The quiet. The staring at nothing. He wasn't cheating. He was unraveling. "I was scared," he said, voice cracking. "I've been angry with her my whole life. But when I saw her again, I didn't feel hate. I felt confused. And I didn't know how to bring that into our life." I reached for his hand, and he let me. And just when I thought that was it, just when I thought I finally understood, he said, "There's something else. Ellie, she's not who you think either." I stiffened. "She's my half-sister," he said. "My mom had another child. After she left. Ellie's the one who tracked me down." And just like that, a new door opened. One I never saw coming. Tell me, if someone you loved carried a secret this big, could you forgive them? Or would it change everything? Let me know in the comments. After that night, everything changed, but not in the way I feared. Once the truth came out, there were still a lot of feelings to work through. I wasn't angry anymore, but I was shaken. Hurt that Ryan didn't trust me enough to share something so big. But at the same time, I finally saw the weight he'd been carrying. A mother who abandoned him, came back years later, and a sister he didn't even know existed. That kind of thing doesn't just slide into your everyday routine. It crashes into it. We spent the next few days talking. A lot. For the first time in weeks, we really talked. No phones. No distractions. Just the two of us, sitting across from each other, raw and real. He told me about the first time Ellie reached out. How he didn't answer her messages for weeks. How when he finally did, it opened a door to a part of his life he thought was closed forever. A part he didn't want to drag me into until he understood it himself. And me. I told him how alone I felt. How the silence between us had started to feel like a wall I couldn't climb over. How scared I was that I was losing him. We cried, we argued, we held each other. And slowly, we started reconnecting. A week later, I met Ellie. She was kind, nervous, and nothing like the version I had imagined. We had coffee, just the two of us, and I saw how much she wanted to know her brother. She wasn't there to destroy our relationship, she was trying to build a family she never had. And for the first time, I saw the bigger picture. Ryan wasn't hiding out of guilt. He was overwhelmed. Torn between the pain of the past and the hope of a new beginning. Now, things aren't perfect, but they're honest. We're learning to hold space for each other's histories. We're choosing to move forward, not with secrets, but with understanding. And that, I think, is real love. So if you're still watching, thank you for sticking with me through this story. It's not just about marriage or trust. It's about the unexpected chapters life throws at us. The people we think we've lost. And the ones we never knew we had. Would you want a sequel to see how things go between all of us? Let me know in the comments. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?